Hey everyone, welcome back to Pocket Coaching. I'm Penny, Dr. Zulatul here with Katie Hadley, co-host of Pet and Parent Longevity. So we're jumping in today to continue the theme of prevention, or as we like to now call it, protection, as opposed to being far more reactive with our longevity approach and our health care in general. Right? Don't wait till you have an issue. Don't wait till you have diseases. Don't wait till you have symptoms, because it's a whole lot harder to go backwards and heal than it is to maintain health in the first place. But another point that you may have not really thought about yet is the cost involved, like literally the physical dollars and pounds cost, not just, I mean, there's more cost involved than just that, because loss of time, you've got to go and have appointments, loss of work time, like for productivity and a bunch of other things. But let's talk for a second about costs out of your pocket, because one of the big things that people say is, well, if I'm not broken now, why change what I'm doing? Why spend money on what I'm doing? And I just always come back to this phrase: if you do not invest in wellness, you will pay for illness. Okay, so investment up front is literally that. It's not spending and throwing money out the door. It's buying something or choosing something to add to your life, or investing in some kind of care that will provide you a return on investment, because you don't get sick and then have all those associated costs. Katie.
Yeah, in the US, almost 50% of Americans have a chronic disease. 50%, 40, I think the stat is 45%. That's astounding, okay? A chronic disease can really be anything that
comes and doesn't go away.
Yeah, exactly, right? It's not like a cold where it comes and it goes. It's like you have it, right? Whether it's diabetes or, heart disease, or I would even throw like chronic gut issues in there. Although if that number's in there, that number is definitely higher than 45%. So we have almost half of Americans, and this stat is, it's not that different for other like Western countries, other industrialized countries. The direct cost for an individual with a chronic disease in the US, this is direct cost. So out of your pocket, $6,000 a year in direct costs. That does not include quality of life, the loss of whatever productivity means for you and your job and your home and your family. Like, this is just direct costs. And that includes, of course, in the US, considering the fact that most people have insurance, and insurance is helping with this, right? So the bigger cost as a whole, like if we're talking about the health of our society, is huge. It's huge.
And at least, I mean, I can tell you in the UK, I mean, the cost of the NHS and the burden on the NHS and how much the government pays to fund the NHS is by far the biggest part of their budget. Like it's almost crippling, the amount of money that's poured into health care or sick care, as the case may be, right? That didn't have to be, right? Because these are all preventable diseases.
Yeah. And you bring in an interesting point. We were talking before we started recording, and I want to kind of go back to that. You bring in an interesting point of the differences when we look at how the healthcare system is set up, and where are those resources coming from? Because if you're in the UK and healthcare is free, it might not be coming directly out of your pocket.
But you're coming out of your pocket because of taxes, right? So you're paying for it one way or another.
That's true, but it's not more, right? So it's the same amount that you'd already be paying. But can you put a price tag on your quality and length of life? Like, I think it really truly comes down to that, right? Like, how much would you be willing to pay to live a long, healthy life in order to do what you want to do, right? Because that's what health is. It's just a tool that we're using to live the life we want to live.
Right. And the best way to answer that question is wait till you get sick and then say, how much would you pay to get instantly well right now? Like and it's, people put down a lot of money at that point in time. Like if you have a cancer diagnosis or if your pet has a cancer diagnosis, how much money would you pay on the spot right in that second to make that magically go away? Right. That's a pretty powerful thing to be thinking about. Right, you'd probably give just about everything that was in your bank account at that point in time. I'm not asking you to do any of those things, but I'm saying that's how urgent and big a priority it becomes when you hit a diagnosis. What if you could, in that moment, rewind the clock and go back 5 years so you don't have to spend your life savings on that? You don't have to use that wild card to get out of jail, but you could have put in place a pathway that would mean that you never got to where you are right now. So not only do you have to deal with the stress and the anxiety and the suffering of that, but you don't have to pay for those things because the money that you invested up front for your wellness was fractional compared to what that cost is. So even if you didn't put down your life savings on the table to say, I'm going to buy my way out of this cancer diagnosis with this magic system that we've just invented, right? But cancer itself is an expensive thing, right? The standard of care in the pet world for cancer is the same as for humans. So it's chemotherapy, radiation, and surgery. It's the same three things, like bomb it, burn it, or cut it. Right, each one of those is a destructive principle, right, rather than working with the body to heal, right? But these things are the standard of care, and they're expensive. You're looking at somewhere around about £8,000. I looked at, for the UK, and it's obviously, but I mean that's a lot of money. If you don't have insurance, have you got that money? Like,
and pet insurance isn't cheap either.
Pet insurance is not cheap, and pet insurance is a cooked book in a lot of ways, because once you get to a certain age for a pet, the ballpark figure that I've seen is typically the cutoff at 10 years old. If you don't have insurance before your 10th birthday as a dog or a cat, you're likely never going to get it,
or it's
because they won't cover you,
expensive,
or it's crazy expensive,
or so you're not allowed if you have 20
pre-existing,
and they don't cover pre-existing conditions.
So let's avoid having pre-existing conditions by investing in wellness up the front, and then you can afford to pay for your pet's medical insurance, because the premiums are never going to be significantly high because you're not cashing in on it. You're not having to use it. It's there for that emergency situation, which is why we have insurance in the first place. Right? But you won't be drawing down on that all the time because then your premiums go up. So everything involved with being sick costs you money. Getting involved in wellness is an investment, yes it is, but you would much rather do it small and with plenty of time and spread out over time and little changes along the way than this other scenario.
That's the key, is when we're talking about investing in prevention and protection, it's not even necessarily dollars. It's really not. Like, yes, can you do some expensive prevention? Sure, right? But, going back to cancer, I'm just going to use this example because most people don't know this. Processed meat, like deli meats and sausage and hot dogs, are the same class
and kibble and commercial pet food.
They're the same class of carcinogen, meaning cancer causing, as cigarettes. Okay, processed meat is the same classification of cancer causing as cigarettes. I don't think there's many people out here who are like, actually, cigarettes don't really, increase risk of cancer. Like, most people are like, yeah, okay, this is pretty well established at this point, right? A change away from processed meats, if you simply take that out of your diet, you're actually saving money, right? Like, that doesn't cost any dollar amount. So it's when we say invest in it, it's really investing your mental energy and your priorities, right? It's about setting your priorities in order to go ahead.
I was just going to chime in with that and say that, cancer, the rate of cancer in dogs now is 1 in 1.65, right? So just about every dog is going to get a cancer diagnosis at some point in their life. The biggest thing you can do to stop that from happening is not feed processed food. The biggest thing, the biggest mover. Now, are you going to still feed your dog? Well, yes, of course you are, right? So the cost involved,
if we found a workaround,
the cost involved in shifting from processed food to non-processed food, or lightly processed or flash processed, whatever it happens to be, right, is a very minimal cost. especially when you've got a competitive market for the raw food industry, because the science is so strong that it's the right thing to do, and companies are bringing out bigger ranges and more of them. So the cost is going to come down. The same with it. So the cost isn't there. A raw food diet is not expensive. I remember I charted it out on a graph when I was working out, well, if I transition from this to this or that to that, what would it be? Just so I had the figures. It's cost me less to feed a raw food diet than it is to a commercial one. So not that I did that, but like I was doing the sums. And so you're saving money and saving lives with and if you want to second that thing in your armory to get rid of cancer and never have your pets get it, right? Raw species appropriate diet, yes, number 1. 2, add broccoli. Like broccoli is one of the most cancer killing substances on the planet. Nobody can patent it because it's a free natural vegetable, right? But you can stick that in your bowl for like 1 cent, 1 penny, like it costs you nothing to do that, compared to the pet insurance, the chemotherapy, the radiation, the post-operative care, the all the diagnostics, right? The grief, the stress, the heart, like just do the cheap way.
Yeah, couldn't have said it better. Absolutely. If, like you said, if you don't invest now, you're gonna have to pay later. Unfortunately, it's just the reality. But you guys know we're here to support you in that journey, because we know it can be a little bit overwhelming when you're like, cool, this all sounds great, but like, where's the free information? Here we are. So
yeah,
you guys know we're all about free and low cost. Yes, there are tons of expensive therapeutic things that you can try and have fun with, but like the reality is the foundational stuff is free or low cost. So speaking of that, if you guys aren't already in our Rejuvenate membership, it's pretty friggin' low cost. And every month we come at you with a different health consideration, whether it's dental health or gut health or like physical alignment, or right, all these different pieces. And we break it down for you. These are the simple, the no cost solutions, the low cost solutions, and the no fluff. Like, what do you need to know? Here's a 30-minute masterclass, everything you need to know. Here's a handout on it. So it's right there in front of you with the strategies. And here are our favorite resources. Here are our favorite supplements. Like, we really try to give you guys everything, because we know that the information overwhelm, if you're getting into this, can be a little bit much. And we want to help you guys in that journey. So it doesn't have to be hard. It doesn't have to be expensive. You just need some support. We're here for it. We'll share the link for the waitlist for Rejuvenate here in the description. And until next time, we'll see you then.